Well, hello everybody, and welcome to G Bear's Off Grid Ways. Here we are on November 12th, 2019. And yeah, I still have a little congestion, but I'm feeling a lot better. I was out doing some work today. Didn't get much done because I had promised my neighbor that I would assist his wife today, but something happened with that whole situation and it never got around. But it slowed me down a little bit, but I still got stuff done. We're looking at the box for the ceiling fan up here, and I got it right in the center of the room, so it'll be a good place to move air around inside of this whole room area. And then I pulled the cover off of that box there that used to be an outdoor box, but now it's an indoor box. So it's going to be a little high on the wall, but that's okay. I can live with that. And then I'm going to have to put a box extender on there because I'm bringing the wall out 1.25 inches. And then I'll run wiring behind there and get it over into the other wall. And I had some 12 wiring left, so I utilized that to get it into place. I'm going to add one more box down in that corner because you can never have too many outlets in a room, right? I'm also going to add one more outlet down here on this wall because I like to go by the plan of having an outlet every 4 feet on a wall or all the way around the room. So I have one there, and then 4 feet away I have one there, and then 4 feet away I have one there, and 4 feet I'm going to put one there, so forth, so on. I have this one over here, and the only thing that's going to come from there is when I put the false wall here, I'll take the cover off there, and I'll bring that out with a box extender, and then the wiring will go over to that box. But since my ceiling fan is not going to be on a switch, it's going to be hardwired, I'm going to also pull off of that, and I already drilled a hole up there so I can bring the wire up over the top of the ceiling joist and over to my ceiling fan box. So I'll have a pull string for the light on there and the pull string for the fan itself. They don't get used very much, so the switches that are in the unit are just fine for what I need. What I am going to do though, I checked it last night. That light bulb, which is, excuse me, which is a one of the Harbor Freight LEDs that come with their solar panel set, the 100 watt solar panel set. You get 2 of those in their kit, and I don't normally use those when I use the solar panels, but I keep the bulbs because they're 12 volt LED bulbs, so they're great. And that bulb last night, I turned it on, and it just completely lights this whole room. So there's no problem with the amount of light I'll get off of that one light bulb. But what I am going to do is the switch for that is inside, right on the other side of the wall, about right here. So I made an X because I'm going to put another switch box in here, and then I'll do a 3-way switch between there and there, both connected to that light. And what that'll allow me is when I come in the door, if it's nighttime, dark, or whatever, I can flip the switch on and get light in the room. And then when I get over to here and go into the main cabin, I can flip it off and shut the light off without having to walk back there again and then walk through in the darkness. I know that it's confusing to some people who don't know electricity, but it's called a 3-way switch even though there's only 2 locations. Kind of strange. And then you really want to get strange, you can see the 4-way switches. 4-way switches have 3 switch locations that all run one light. But it's 3 switches to 1 light. So that's a 4-way switch. 2 switches to 1 light is a 3-way switch. All right. That explained. Let's move on outside because I did promise Jim H that I would explain to him. He wanted to know a little bit more about these large windows and how I was putting those in. And I mentioned the rubber pads I put under the windows. Well, those are right underneath there. And what they are is You can actually buy them from glazers and glass installers, things like that. But what I use is, this is a rubber skid pad, and it's got a peel back adhesive on the back of it. And it's about a 1/4 inch thick if you look at it. Okay, right where the humps are. And it has little variations in there. So this works great. And what I did was I measured the thickness of the 2 sheets of glass on the window, which is this thickness. And then I cut my strips off of that piece just like this. And I peeled that backing off because you don't really need it on there. And I threw that away. All right, so I raised the windows up and slide a couple of these underneath there to keep the window up off of the wood. And that padding is basically what it's doing. It's basically a rubber shim, and it's raising the window up, because when you do your window frame around here, you want your window frame to be a 1/2 inch larger, wide, and tall than the size of your glass. So that leaves a 1/4 inch gap all the way around. But if it's sitting down on the wood, you have a half inch gap at the top and nothing at the bottom. So you're going to put that rubber pad under there to raise it up a 1/4 inch. So now when I do my continuous bead, it's called a 3/8 bead. Even though it's only a 1/4 inch wide, you want it to come out a little bit when you're putting that continuous bead all the way around. And then you put your wood stop up against that and squish it into that seal, and then the wood stop is sealed against the glass. So if rain sheets against the glass, it goes up against the silicone and it can't get through the window into the inside of the cabin. Now, I was just sitting here a little while ago, just inside there, doing a list that I need for some of the items. I'm going to get onto the roof tomorrow if there's another day like today. Beautiful day, beautiful weather, no winds, just fantastic, good working weather. And what I'm thinking of doing is on the bottom here, I got to mill a stop that's going to go all the way around the window anyway. And I'm thinking about, for the bottoms here, I'm going to do a little slanted windowsill. Instead of it being a flat wood stop against the wall, I'm going to do a windowsill that comes out probably an inch more than what the wall is, so that when rain does sheet up against the glass, run down, it takes it away from the wall. Oh yeah, by the way, I did put the cover on there, and I've got the outlet in there and the wire on that one already going on the inside, but it's not connected to anything yet because I haven't run all the circuitry. But I did have some of the 12-2 Romex that I needed, so I did make the connection there. And then another thing I wanted to show you was, see all the foam down in there? That's the expandable foam insulation. Well, I use that stuff like crazy, and that's how I seal the outdoor penetrations. So I put that box in from the outside, and then I put the wire through, and then I sealed everything completely in the foam. So no cold air will leach through and come into the cabin. Now, before the drywall goes on, I'll actually take more of that foam, and I'm going to foam all the way around that metal box. So if you ever notice, you go around your outer walls of your house on a really cold night and put your hand down by the electrical receptacle, you'll feel cold air coming through there. Even though you got insulation in the wall, the cold air is in that pocket, and it'll leach through and come out through your receptacle, and it takes away from the efficiency of the room. So I like to foam all the way around the box and seal the box really well, then put my insulation into the wall section, and then put my wall panels on, the drywall panels on. So I've got a nice airtight set. And now that's what I was talking about. I couldn't understand how I had got a critter in the attic on the main cabin, because I did this same type of setup on the main cabin, but I used all metal stud. So that plate down on the bottom, that's pressure treated only because I had an extra one and there was no need to waste it. But that bottom plate on the rest of the cabin is actually metal, and all the studs are metal, and the caps are metal. So everything is sealed airtight so that there's no air leaks, and I get really good insulation out of that so that it takes very little heating to keep the cabin comfortable. And without having any openings like that whatsoever, I can't figure out how in the heck a critter got into the attic. And you got to remember that my footings underneath here are this wide. So they cover this whole area from where my finger's touching to where my thumb's touching. Okay? So underneath there is concrete. So if they came up from underneath and they chewed through the flooring, which is a double sheet, which is 7/8 of OSB, if they chewed through that, the only place they could come is into the room, not into the wall. So it's really a mystery on how they got in, but I will find out. I'm not giving up on that. And I did find some rat bait at Home Depot that's a non-poison, so it won't hurt your other pets and stuff like that. But the rats eat it, and it will kill the rats. So I did find that, and I put that up in the attic, and I've been sleeping really well at night because there ain't no pitter patter and scratching up in the attic anymore. So I'll keep you appraised on that. As far as the other rodent repellent, the Tomcat stuff, it worked great for a short period of time, and now it's all worn off. So at $25 a gallon, I think I'll just use that to make sure I keep the critters out of my engine compartments of my vehicles, and I won't try using it to keep them out of the chicken coop or anything like that. I'm going to use this rat bait instead, and then I'm also going to get new wiring on the chicken coop so that the birds and the critters like the squirrels and that stuff and rats and mice can't get through into the chicken coop, so that chickens will feel a lot safer. All right, everybody. That's about all for today. G-Bear reminding you, give me a thumbs up down there. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Share with your friends. Yep, I got another Band-Aid. That's only because that's where the splinter tore the tip of my finger up from the OSB the other day. And it was a little tender there, still healing, and I didn't want to tear it back open. For those of you who didn't know, most infections come from reopening a wound after it's closed. So be very careful about that. G-Bear signing off.